Tonight on The Buzz, we are looking at the biggest announcements at IBC this week. We start with Dan May, president of Blackmagic Design, talking about their brand new RAW codec and the other key Blackmagic announcements. Next, Ray Thompson, the director of broadcast market solutions for Avid, shares their news from IBC. Next, Bill Roberts, the Senior Director of Product Management for Video and Audio Solutions at Adobe Systems, tells us about Adobe's newest products, which they announced at IBC. There's a lot of new technology on tonight's show. All this, plus James DeRuvo with our weekly doddleNEWS update. The Buzz starts now.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative.
One show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
Current.
uniting industry experts,
Production.
filmmakers,
Post-production.
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
Welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for the creative content industry, covering media production, post-production, and marketing around the world. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan. Tonight is all about new products, new technology, and news. With the IBC trade show ending this week, we want to spend the next 2 weeks looking at the news that will affect all of us in the coming weeks. Tonight, we hear from 3 of the largest companies in our industry. Next week, we visit with a variety of smaller firms that announced industry-leading products at the show. Before we start, though, I want to invite you to subscribe to our free weekly show newsletter at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Every issue every week provides quick links to the different segments on the show, plus articles of interest to filmmakers. And best of all, it's free and comes out every Saturday morning. But first, it's time for our doddleNEWS update with James DeRuvo. Hello, James.
As always, happy Thursday, Larry.
So what do we got in the news this week?
Almost out of nowhere, except I knew it was coming, GoPro announces their new hyper-smooth Hero 7 Black camera. They declared that shaky video and an action camera is absolutely dead with their new digital hyper-smooth feature, which eliminates the need for a hardware gimbal stabilizer. They also have a feature called Time Warp, which creates a smooth, short, flowing time lapse from a longer video clip. And this is the feature I'm most excited about: direct live streaming to Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Vimeo.
Well, anything that reduces shaky shots is a good thing in my book. What's your opinion?
Well, GoPro's refined their in-camera stabilization that they created in the Hero 6 camera last year. And the result is this new hyper-smooth feature, which creates a clip that is so smooth, it's as if the camera is floating in front of you. But the fact that you can stream live from the camera is a bold new feature that eliminates any need for additional streaming hardware. I'm assuming that it works in tandem with your mobile device, but it's still a first. So when Nick Woodman says that this is the GoPro camera we've all been waiting for, honestly, I believe him.
All righty. That's GoPro. What's next?
CinemaGrade is a new plugin for DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro 10, and Adobe Premiere all on the Mac. It offers professional caliber color grading with an Instagram-like workflow. It comes with 70 pre-built looks to apply, but there's also a look transfer tool that will analyze your favorite Hollywood scenes and transfer the color grade to your project with side-by-side shot matching.
Yeah, but James, there are so many color grading tools out there. Why should we pay attention to this one?
Well, sure there are, but most have a steep learning curve and can even require some expensive hardware. With today's Instagram-like culture, young filmmakers want to grade and go. So it is only a matter of time before that convenience would come to an app like CinemaGrade.
Okay, CinemaGrade's our second story. What's number 3?
Well, Blackmagic has announced their own flavor of RAW at IBC this last weekend. It comes with in-camera hardware accelerated demosaic workflow, GPU acceleration through DaVinci Resolve, and 12-bit color science.
Well, why was this necessary?
Well, ever since Adobe dropped development of the open source Cinema DNG RAW, camera manufacturers have been developing their own flavors, enabling them to really dial in the features of their specific camera models with the codec that they output to. The result is a superior image quality that leverages the hardware of the camera to do the majority of the heavy lifting so that users can focus on editing in their post-production workflow rather than worrying about what codec they're using.
James, just as a note, we'll have an in-depth interview with Dan May, the president of Blackmagic Design, talking specifically about the new Blackmagic RAW format a little later on tonight's show. So rather than dwell on that here, what other stories are you following?
Other stories we're looking at, Final Draft expands with pre-production features that will help screenwriters not only to better pitch their ideas, but get a leg up with production. There's a host of other IBC announcements from Teradek, Atomos, and others, and test video shows that Nikon's Z6 4K mirrorless camera is a low-light beast. That's what we're working on. What's going on with tonight's show other than the fact that my buddy Dan May is dropping by?
Tonight, we're looking at significant announcements from IBC from the biggest companies. We'll be talking with Avid, Adobe, and Blackmagic Design. And for people who want to follow all the latest industry news, where can they go on the web?
As always, all these stories and more can be found at doddleNEWS.com.
And James DeRuvo is the editor-in-chief of DoddleNEWS and joins us every week. I'll see you next Thursday.
Have a good weekend.
Here's another website I want to introduce you to, doddleNEWS.com. DoddleNEWS gives you a portal into the broadcast, video, and film industries. It's a leading online resource presenting news, reviews, and products for the film and video industry. DoddleNEWS also offers a resource guide and crew management platform specifically designed for production. These digital call sheets, along with their app, directory, and premium listings, provide in-depth organizational tools for busy production professionals. DoddleNEWS is a part of the Thalo Arts community, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with resources you need to succeed. Whether you want the latest industry news, need to network with other creative professionals, or require state-of-the-art online tools to manage your next project, there's only one place to go, doddleNEWS.com. Dan May is the president of Blackmagic Design, responsible for its North and South American operations. Hello, Dan. Welcome back.
Hey, Larry. Good to talk to you.
Let's get right to the good stuff. What's the news from Blackmagic Design at IBC this year?
This year, it's really a software update. And this software update comes in the terms of our Blackmagic RAW, which is a new format that we've announced at IBC for our Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro, as well as for DaVinci Resolve 15.
There are millions of RAW formats out there, and you already support Cinema DMG. Why do you want to come out with a RAW format?
There's always something that feels like it's a bit lacking with some of these things we've done. One of the things we see with Cinema DNG is that while it's a great format, when you start doing RAW files there, you've got a series of still images basically there, and how do you hook up the metadata? And there's these giant workflows around how to deal with that RAW format. On the other side of the equation, we all love ProRes as a great format that's compressed, and it is great, but it does have that 422 color sampling. It's nice that it works in a single file, but you have issues if, are you working on a PC? What limitations do you have there? If you're on a Mac, it's great. And we find there's these different limitations across all of these different formats for a variety of different reasons. What we wanted to do with Blackmagic RAW is we wanted to create something that is platform agnostic, functions a lot like a video format where we've got this single file that has all of the metadata, all of the video and audio, looks like a video file, gives you all of the advantages of RAW, being able to have something that is really great for the post-production process and really fast, but does have some of that compression without dealing with the color sampling. So this process for us has been about a 2.5-year process of building this kind of new format that we want to have, and really excited to be getting it out there and showing it on the Ursa Mini Pro, building it into a workflow that we are able to show in DaVinci Resolve 15, but also having an SDK available at IBC so that other third-party applications can go ahead and implement using Blackmagic RAW directly into their own workflows as well.
We use the word RAW a lot, but what are we actually getting with a RAW format that we don't get with a normal video codec?
The big thing that you get there is that you are really dealing with something that doesn't have that kind of color sampling that you would find with something when we talk about, we've all heard about 422 color sampling, or we start ditching out some of those bits that are part of the color sampling. And that's important when we work through the post-production process. And we talk about things like, especially Resolve, we're talking about our color science that we're using in DaVinci Resolve to give you to the best capable images of being able to work with that. Whether it be through actual keying or whether you're doing VFX work, more bits being able to be used in there are better for that workflow. But again, the problem has always been with RAW is, how big are those files? How complex are those files to be able to do? So you can find things in RAW where we have, 3:1 compression, 12:1 compression, where there's actual compression there, but those aren't color sampling bits. And what we've done here is we've done this whole ability to, and one of the unique things about the Blackmagic RAW is being able to do things like basically doing some of the work on the camera to deal with how we make that file so that it's easier on the actual software to work with those files down the pipe. It's really a whole new way of thinking about how we deal with working with these type of codec technology, and very modern in what we've been able to do with it.
Dan, we know that Apple just released ProRes RAW, Sony's got its RAW version. Why should we consider using Blackmagic RAW?
Well, one of the big things we wanted to do with this is we wanted to be able to have very small compression ratios. So we have the ability to kind of have our own versions of this that have these RAW 3.1, RAW 5.1, RAW 8.1, RAW 12.1, and these come down to sizes that are very similar to non-RAW type of formats, say like ProRes formats that we've seen out there before. So they are able to get quite small. In addition to that, we don't have the aforementioned color sampling that we've been dealing with some of these other compressed formats. And furthermore, we have the ability to work with them like a video file, where one file has all of the video, the audio, the metadata, and being able to work with that throughout the application like a video codec very easily. One of the other really cool things we've done here is when you bring a Blackmagic RAW file into something like DaVinci Resolve, we're able to do what we call create a sidecar, where we're able to go ahead and do things like, imagine applying a LUT to the actual RAW image to create that look. But when we save that, and if we wanted to move that to another application, all of that raw data is still there. And that sidecar holds all of the information that's been done to that file format, which means when you open it up in another, like we have our own Blackmagic player, we can open it in that player and adjust that sidecar, turn the sidecar on and off, and we've never actually destroyed that raw image that we've had. So lots of really creative things we've been able to do with this very modern Blackmagic RAW codec.
I understand that Blackmagic is making the format available to software editors, but it seems like the format is locked to Blackmagic cameras, the way that Sony's RAW format is locked to Sony's cameras. Is that a true statement?
My takeaway from that is because of the way that we're doing that demosaicing on board the Ursa Mini Pro, that is a bit of processing that's being done on board the camera, and it's really tied directly into the sensor and the uniqueness of the camera itself. So for us to do it for something like our Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, which we've said we are going to be working on kind of next to do, we can certainly do that because we have all that sensor information. We know we have the processing power on board the camera to do that. If we were to do that and turn around and try to do that on a third-party camera, it would have to take working directly with that manufacturer to say, look, we want to be able to know if we can put what we can put on board that camera, how that sensor calibration, how that data works. Now, potentially we could do this with, say, a future type of video assist type product where we already know some of the profiling of the sensor and have that processing on a different unit, but it requires more than just being able to say, look, here's the parameters for that codec, you can put it on your camera and it just works. So it does have some limitations there as just being able to open it up to everybody as an encoding format. But certainly for the decoding part of that and putting it into the SDK for other third-party applications, that part we've already done.
Have you announced a release date for Blackmagic Raw?
So what we've already done is we've got 15.1 for DaVinci Resolve up on our website. People can go ahead and download that are Resolve Studio users and begin to work with this. The Ursa Mini Pro update is a beta update that is currently out there. People have been downloading that and working and shooting with that, and they can go ahead and use that with the software right now. It'll probably be a few weeks for us to go ahead and make sure we're completely happy with that before we call that camera beta done. And then, like I said, on the SDK, it really just comes to us, getting that out in front of all of those third-party applications. But, this is a very done software update for us on our part. It's gone through an extensive beta cycle already, so we do feel very comfortable with this format being very close to being finalized for the Ursa Mini Pro.
The other big news is the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Tell me about that.
So the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K is a product that we did announce at NAB, and people have just been chomping at the bit and waiting for this product to come out. And we're very pleased to be saying that the factory is now in production building these units. We have a bunch of units at IBC that people are able to kind of touch and feel that are in their final format, so to speak. So, when we were at NAB, we kind of had prototype materials and we're showing the image as we had it there. This product is functionally done, built, has gone through all of the processes of engineering, and we are building finalized units at this point in the factory. And we're very pleased to be saying that, we had said they would be shipping in September. Well, we would like to have said they were actually shipping at IBC. The factory should be shipping out these units any day now, and definitely hoping to deliver some units to customers by the end of September to be able to have a $1,500 camera that shoots in 4K, has these different format and compressions, and we've already said that we're going to be doing this Blackmagic Raw on the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K as well. Truly a great successor to our original Pocket Cinema camera, and people are very excited to be getting their hands on this camera shortly.
The other big news coming out of NAB was the eGPU, the external GPU. Is there any new news on that front?
Yeah, the external GPU unit we created as a co-developed product with Apple. It was really exciting for us to be able to do this, something we as a company have never done before. We've done lots of work with Apple over the years, obviously with Thunderbolt and with ProRes. This was something where it was such an honor to be kind of working with Apple and have them come to us and say, look, we would like to build this product. Are you interested in co-designing this with us? So we were able to sit down with Apple, co-design this Blackmagic branded product, this external Thunderbolt 3 eGPU accelerator, and really benefits both parties because they want to have this really great designed product that's able to work within their OS and accelerate applications as they do more development with being able to have these external eGPUs work across other softwares due to changes in their OS, and really a big benefit for us because, of course, as a Resolve platform, we're so very GPU hungry to be able to do more acceleration and to be able to get the best performance out of Resolve. So really a great product that we were able to put out there, a $699 price point, very fair for what you're able to get out of that unit, and currently available directly from Apple through the Apple stores as well as Apple online. So a great development for Blackmagic Design and quite an honor to work with Apple on a product of that stature.
But one of the limitations of the eGPU is that it's not upgradable. Why was that decision made?
Well, obviously we would love to do it so that it was upgradable, but part of the challenges that we found there is for a unit like this where we feel like we're going to have these things sitting on desks or next to people that are being able to use that, we had to make the thing be very quiet. There's no way we could put this in a room where we're starting to work on, Fairlight audio or doing other, editing type of work where you've got something that sounds like Airwolf about to take off from your desktop. And that becomes the problem with a lot of those units. So the sacrifice ends up becoming we have to make the unit kind of a non-upgradable unit to get that silent type of quality out of there. And that is a trade-off that was decided to be made there. So we do feel that it's very fair for what you're getting out of that, but it is not an upgradable unit. Definitely true there. But you put the thing on your desk and you can't hear it at all. So that's the upside.
So what are the news coming out of IBC? I was looking at your website. There's about 7,000 announcements. What's one we need to pay attention to that didn't make the big headlines?
I think the big thing for Blackmagic Design is that we're always listening to our customers. So we'll see little updates that come out along the way, small updates for various products out there. Really, we are focused around the Blackmagic Raw now and how that plays into our overall workflow. But we are constantly making updates out there for our products, constantly taking feedback from customers. Lots of great user stories we're putting out there with the successes of DaVinci Resolve. So, hopefully people stay tuned to what's coming out of Blackmagic Design. It's not just all around the big trade shows anymore. I know we've had a habit of being very NAB and IBC focused, but just lots of little news that's worth paying attention to. But right now, very happy to be talking about Blackmagic Raw from what that does for us and our customers and their workflows.
So for people that want to see all those small trivial announcements that are coming out at any time throughout the year, where can they go on the web?
Best place to go would be www.blackmagicdesign, all one word.com.
And it took a long time to get that website.
It took a while, but we did get it.
Blackmagic Design, all one word, blackmagicdesign.com, and Dan May is the president of Blackmagic Design North and South America. Dan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
Ray Thompson is the Director of Broadcast and Media Solutions Marketing at Avid. With 25 years of business development, product management, and marketing expertise, he oversees marketing initiatives focused on enterprise customers in the broadcast, film, and TV markets. Hello, Ray. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I've been looking forward to this conversation ever since I read the press releases of Avid going to IBC. So let's get right into the good stuff. What's the news from IBC from Avid?
There are two things about this IBC that I guess were different than things in the past. Some of the key announcements that we made at IBC this year really revolved around launch of our Maestro engine update, which is a next-gen hardware for our graphic products lineup. There's two systems. There's one HD and one UHD system. Both increased channel counts, added support for IP/I/O. And then one of the systems added UHD support. And the key differentiator about this round of upgrades for hardware in terms of graphics and what Avid brings to the table is we've also incorporated the Epic Unreal Engine, which we had announced actually at last year's IBC. The real key differentiator for us is on the UHD system, the box can actually run both the Maestro render engine and the Epic Unreal Engine simultaneously on the system, which means that you can have a virtual set in the background being drawn in real time in photorealistic imagery with video incorporated, as well as having data-driven augmented reality graphics also being displayed at the same time. And those augmented reality graphics, if you think about, say, election coverage or sports or even straight-up news or weather, it's a real cool thing for broadcasters because it not only allows them to brand their broadcast in a new and different way very easily by using virtual sets and augmented reality graphics, but it also allows them to tell stories in a much more engaging way that today, as we all know, is a big challenge for everybody, right? You got to hold everybody's attention for more than 10 seconds. Incorporating things like this certainly make that happen. So that was one of the big announcements for us, and it was well received at the show. The other big announcement Avid made was the fact that we've got 1 million downloads of Avid First products. So Avid, over the last year and change, has been releasing pre-versions of its sort of core products. So Media Composer, Avid Pro Tools, which is our audio software, and then Sibelius, which is our notation software that automates music notations, among other things. All have first versions available, and we just eclipsed the 1 million download threshold for it was literally the first day of the show, I believe, was the day that we actually eclipsed that. So that's impressive because, it's only been a year, and we rolled it out in phases with Pro Tools first, Media Composer second, and Sibelius at NAB. And what this allows for Avid is for us to sort of get more and more folks onto any one of these platforms so they can learn the power of what it can do. And then hopefully they can convert to either a monthly subscription or a perpetual one. So we were very excited about that. We also announced the ACA event, which is pre-NAB. So Avid's Customer Association has 30,000 members now and growing. And it's really what Avid uses to sort of drive its roadmaps. And it's representative of the entire population of Avid users that are out there. So everything from the individual artist, maybe doing either video or audio work, all the way up to the guys who run some of the largest media companies in the world, to everything in between. The Avid Customer Association has really become a big force in the industry. And that's what we're leveraging as a company to drive our product roadmaps. And we've shown that both at NAB and here at IBC. The features that are in these products are really a direct result of the feedback we're getting from our customer base. So that's pretty exciting. And that event is growing as well. So last year, we got the full attendance, but it was probably in the 1,500 to 2,000 range of the Avid Customer Association event pre-NAB. It's getting better and better all the time. We're incorporating more and more of the user's voice into that event. And it's a learning event. It's not about heavy sales pitch, but rather it's about talking about what's going on in our industry and how people are dealing with those challenges and what some of the solutions are. And it's coming from the mouths of the people actually doing it, as opposed to Avid product managers or Avid folks. So that's what's very exciting. So from that perspective, those were sort of the newer things that we announced, which is light, quite honestly, in terms of what we typically do and in terms of the number of announcements. But what Avid really has done is, for example, we announced Media Central last year as a new platform for news, asset management, and for editorial and production management. And then we showed those running in the booth at NAB. And then we actually have delivered that over the summer. So this year for Avid, it was really about delivering on what we had been talking about for the last year, which is the Media Central platform, which is based on an entirely new microservices architecture, leveraging containers to basically allow users to deploy very specific virtualized resources that allow them to take advantage of just what they need when they need it, whether that's on-prem or in the cloud. So this is sort of the debut, if you will, of a live running version that's actually shipping today for Media Central and the various modules. Other things about the show that were of note for Avid was our fast serve video servers. We, of course, have AirSpeed, which has been a stalwart in the industry for a long, long time, and it's being replaced with the fast serve video servers. So what that does is it increases the channel counts on the systems with the same footprint. It supports UHD and IPIO as well, while also being able to mix in SDI still, of course. And what we showed at the show was for the fast serve ingest server was our proxy workflow, which was new and demoable here at the show, and a significant feature based on feedback from the market and our ACA folks. And then for our fast serve playout, we were actually showing the ability to play directly off of a Nexus storage system out to air. So right off the fast serve system, which was also a direct result of feedback from our customers. So those were two notable things there. And then from a storage perspective, Avid has shipped Nexus, and we added at NAB the Nexus E5, which is a nearline storage offering for post-production facilities and broadcasters to use to park projects. And what's unique about it is a very dense set of storage that has a fully redundant system behind it, and it extends the Nexus file system. So you no longer need to check assets into and out of a Nexus system in order to have sort of a nearline availability for your projects and media. It can now all live in the same file system, which means it's more readily accessible across the organization, regardless of what tool set you're using, Media Composer, Media Central, and so on. So that was announced at NAB, and it was shipped over the summer, and it was featured in the booth at IBC. And then we had our Avid On Demand. So Avid On Demand is our brand for all of our cloud-based services and solutions. And so Avid had announced a tech preview at both Avid Connect and NAB this year of our on-demand solution offerings. And the solution offerings included shared library on demand, which is storage in the cloud for people to leverage for both editorial-based workflows to easily add capacity and burst when needed, and then spin those resources down when the project is over, or leverage it as an actual archive in the cloud and migrate LTO assets off of aging big iron hardware and realize the benefits of the cloud by putting it into shared library on demand, which then positions the the media advantage of Avid on-demand services. So things like Microsoft Cognitive Services, which can auto-index all of that content automatically using facial scene recognition or using speech to text, or they can leverage it to do transcoding and transforming of the content into various bitrate protocols and or formats, and or they can leverage it to do Illuminate on Demand, which is Avid's closed captioning solution for bulk quality control of assets and checking for both closed captioning alignment and making sure that it's accurate. So those were all things that were prevalent at the show, and that's a lot that I just said there. But those were like the major highlights of the show. We also did have, and I should mention that, Avid at NAB announced an extension of the S6 lineup for our mixing consoles. And so some of those were on display. And what that does for Avid is it pushes our consoles further down market as well as further up market with some of the biggest consoles you can possibly imagine, all the way down to some of the smaller ones that make it much more affordable for just about anybody to get their hands on, and leverage Pro Tools, which has really become ubiquitous in the industry in terms of solution for, mixing audio, whether that's, in post or live or, music or for film or TV production. So we had a lot going on at the show, that's for sure.
You got a ton of announcements, man. You were busy this summer.
Yeah, it's funny because both IBC and NAB, we typically announce, 10 to 12 things. This IBC was really just about showing what we have.
For people who want more information, where can they go on the web?
Yeah, so avid.com is a great resource for information. And then, of course, all of Avid's social media is always good to follow, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of which, we're constantly refreshing and publishing new information and news articles about what's coming and what's new. So I would encourage folks to visit avid.com and then go and sign up and follow our social media feeds.
That website is all one word, AVID, avid.com, and Ray Thompson is the Director of Broadcast and Media Solutions Marketing for Avid. And Ray, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
I want to introduce you to a new website, Thalo.com. Thalo is an artist community and networking site for creative people to connect, be inspired, and showcase their creativity. Thalo.com features content from around the world with a global perspective on all things creative. Thalo is the place for creative folks to learn, collaborate, market, and sell their works. Thalo is a part of Thalo Arts, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with the resources you need to succeed. Visit Thalo.com and discover how their community can help you connect, learn, and succeed. That's Thalo.com. Bill Roberts is the Senior Director of Product Management for audio and video products for Adobe Systems. He, along with his engineering counterparts, determines the direction of Adobe products like Premiere Pro, Audition, and After Effects. Hello, Bill. Welcome back.
Hey, Larry. How you doing?
I'm talking to you. We're talking new products. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because you're speaking to us from Amsterdam, where the IBC trade show just ended. What's Adobe's latest product news?
It's a big update to all the products, and this is the first, broadcast-centric trade show we've been at where we have Project Rush as part of the family. It's in its pre-release stage, so it's been a big IBC for us.
Let's take Premiere first. What's the news with Premiere?
With Premiere, we've done an awful lot. Every time we catch up with you, we try to explain how we're pushing things forward with color, and that's a key part of storytelling today. Everything, the bar for quality is going higher and higher. So we've introduced an entirely new set of curves to allow people to more easily work with selective color correction those are super intuitive. It's one of those things that's better suited to seeing in person than hearing. The other big thing we've done is, if you think about the way that the broadcasters are connecting to their audiences, it's no longer just over the air. It's actually on every social platform, whether that's Twitter or Facebook. And you really got to increase the volume of your throughput. So we've taken the thing that we created before, motion graphics templates, and that's an encapsulated After Effects comp, very key element of branding, and we've added data-driven to that. So you can literally just throw a spreadsheet, a CSV or a TSV spreadsheet or JSON file at that, and produce promos at a high volume. So super big throughput. Lots of focus on performance and format supports. We've really increased the performance on the formats that everybody use, H.264, HEVC, as well as adding support for the new Alexa LF. That's the large format, large raster Alexa format, as well as Sony's Venice V2, all kinds of stuff there. And I'd say lastly, VR180 is a format that's really getting pushed, particularly by Google. So we've added a full end-to-end workflow on that. So it's a big release for Premiere.
I really feel like I should go through a checklist of all the products, and you and I both know that I really want to talk about Audition, but to spare us that pain, could you just summarize what's new with the After Effects? Because that also has been going through some major changes.
I'll make you a deal. I'll tell you what's new in After Effects if I get to sneak in a little bit of stuff about Audition. It's a good release there.
That's a deal. Go ahead.
With After Effects, we've done an awful lot. And one of the big trends we see is really actually working with depth data or spatial data. So we've added in an awful lot about that. So depth passes let you use 3D content in a 2D context, which is amazing. We've added in some new features for animation, mesh sculpting, and advanced pins. They're kind of hard to describe, but it makes it a lot easier to get the animated effect that you're striving for. We've really cleaned up a lot on the motion graphics templates authoring. I spoke previously in Premiere about how you can use them when you're downstream and you're the less sophisticated Premiere user. This allows you a lot more control. So simplified authoring, font controls, and we've done a lot with responsive design, which is meaning that the elements themselves respond to changes in frame size as well as time. And we've sort of added that overall. We've also added in a lot of stuff for performance, so continuing to push to make more of After Effects that GPU framework. So lots going on with After Effects. Can I sneak in my Audition stuff now?
Why don't you sneak in something about Audition?
Good stuff. Well, with Audition, one of the biggest things is actually, it might be useful to you because I'm coming to you from a rather noisy cafe here in Amsterdam, but we've added in intelligent audio cleanup, so bringing the power of machine learning to cleaning up audio. So we've added 2 new algorithms, DeRuvo and DeNoise, and these are just amazing. And as an audiophile yourself, one of the toughest things to clean up is a reverb, where you've actually got the voice echoing off. So it's got the thing you want, but echoing off of hard surfaces. This algorithm is just amazing, operates extremely quick, doesn't take any time to kick into gear. Same sort of thing for DeNoise. So these are just brilliant algorithms combined with a fresh user interface, combined with huge advances in performance. We're now over 120 channels of playback, over 30 channels of simultaneous record, no hardware. This is on your standard computer. We're able to do those sorts of things. And things I just love are just really, really, really simple controls to adjust volume right in context. So next time you fire up Audition, you're going to be loving it.
Well, I can't fire it up until you release it. When are you going to release it?
Larry, we go through this all the time. Coming up shortly, if I cast my eyes to the future, there's a really big Adobe event coming up in October, Adobe Max, our celebration of creativity. Who knows? Maybe these worlds collide, but I'm not saying.
Why the interest in Project Rush? You've already got Premiere. Why do you need something to compete with Premiere?
Well, actually, it doesn't compete with Premiere. Actually, it's designed to live next to Premiere. One of the things that we've learned, actually, it's really interesting to be back at a broadcast show. So the genesis of Project Rush was when we looked at the changes happening in a broadcaster. They no longer just serve the on-air channel. I mentioned that previously. They have to serve, all the social channels, Facebook. They have to update their website. They've got to be on Twitter. And you can't just add, 20 more editors to do that. What you have to do is take the person who has the domain expertise and get them to communicate with video. And the problem we have is, Premiere's designed, to edit anything you can think about. It's designed to integrate with After Effects, and it's designed for the top end. These people are all about getting my ideas in video fast. And if we look at the similar sort of use patterns on YouTube, a YouTube creator is very much similar. They actually have an idea and they want to communicate with video, but they don't want to be an expert editor. So as we looked at this, there was no way we could combine these two pieces. And the other challenge we have is so much of this world was happening on mobile devices and on tablets. So with Project Rush, what we've done is we said, okay, we want the engine that powers Premiere, powers After Effects, powers Audition, but we have to completely reinvent the user experience, and we have to have it on iOS, and we have to have it on Android. And in simplest terms, that's what Project Rush represents.
Why is Adobe so interested in Character Animator? It just seems like an outlier.
One of the features that we delivered here, which is kind of a precursor to where we're going, is we're trying to bring all of our products together. So what you're going to start to see is Character Animator is one component. It's been a slow burn change, but I don't know if you heard that this year, the Showtime program, Stephen Colbert's Our Cartoon President, was the first half-hour program that it was completely based on performance-based animation, so Character Animator. The other thing that's happened is all of the existing animation brands are using Character Animator to bring their characters to life on Facebook for real-time social interaction. So it's one of these things that's very disruptive to the pipeline, but one of the next thing we're going to do is start to integrate it much more with the rest of the products. So here at IBC, we've taken our other animation product, Animate CC, which actually drives a large percentage of the animated content you see, and we've connected it up to After Effects, so all the layers flow into that. So we're starting to create a complete animation solution, so anything that moves can be animated with Animate CC, Character Animator, and refined, tweaked, and augmented in After Effects. So we're bringing those things together.
There's more than broadcast in the video world, and recently Adobe became a partner with the Netflix Post-Technology Alliance. What is this, and should media creators care?
Well, if you want to submit your stuff to Netflix, yes. So one of the things I love about Netflix is they start with the consumer and the experience they want to deliver on your TV or on your tablet when you're watching your favorite shows, and they work backwards. So they're trying to create an ecosystem of vendors who have certified solutions that can deliver the 4K HDR workflows that are necessary to empower that experience. So we're delighted to be one of the first companies to take part in that. So Premiere and After Effects are right there in the hub of it, taking care of the editing and motion graphics and visual effects side of things. So it was fantastic. We had a lot of events this week. Netflix really put out the red carpet here in Amsterdam. Not only did we have a nice soiree one evening, but we also had our first working session with all of the different companies that are contributing to this effort together in one space, reviewing where Netflix wants to go with their technology roadmap. So super exciting.
So does this mean that we basically, not now necessarily, but the plan is to be able to hit essentially a single button and export our project and have it be Netflix compatible?
Well, absolutely. They're putting all the right pieces in place. So, Netflix has built out their deliverables based upon the IMF spec, and that makes it so that there's a set of open standards that you have to deliver to. And, they've got a whole pipeline, and they're focusing on things such as color consistency when you're working with HDR. So I'm a big fan of this, because what they're trying to do is take the uncertainty we have as we have emerging standards and come up with best practices and recommended practices for vendors. So absolutely, we want to get to that point where you can just push a button and your stuff will either be accepted or come back to you with comments that are in context, so you can actually focus your efforts on cleaning up the specific areas that need to be addressed.
One thing you mentioned earlier in the interview, and before I let you go, I want to just touch on this, is that you are integrating machine learning more and more deeply into most of your products. Should editors be worried about this? Are you taking work away from us? How are you using machine learning to enable us as opposed to replace us?
I could be controversial and say, yes, we're taking things away from you, all the things you don't like. Honestly, that's actually a guiding principle. What we try to do is say, what we want to do is replace tedium, and hopefully that actually enables creativity. We've done this in the past. We've done shot matching in the spring. We've done one-touch auto-ducking on the audio side of things. So in this release, we actually have a couple of new areas where we focused on it. So the previously mentioned de-reverb and de-noise. Those are machine learning-based algorithms, but the biggest one, and probably the most fun, is Characterizer. So with Character Animator, we've introduced a new feature which addresses that front part of, I want to create a puppet from scratch, but I don't want to go into Photoshop, I don't want to go into Illustrator. Now you can just take your face, look at your computer, make a series of poses that the computer will guide you through, say a few words, and you end up with your puppet. But that's not where it ends. You can actually use AI to apply your facial features to any style. So you could pick a picture of the Mona Lisa, you could take a picture of a statue, you could take a picture of anything that has a face, and then you're driving it. You're actually animating with your face. So this is one of those things where machine learning enables something which would otherwise be impossible. And those are the areas we focus on. So, I don't ever see a machine editing anything that I want to watch in my spare time, but I do see machine learning being able to identify content that I haven't seen. That's a future area we're looking at. Find audio samples that I haven't heard. I think these are the things that we want to do. So really, let's use AI to amplify creativity rather than replace it.
And Bill, for people that want to know all the news about the new announcements and products from Adobe, where can they go on the web?
You can hit adobe.com/video, and there all the stuff underneath that. You'll see all of our new news, and as I mentioned, even more stuff coming next month at Adobe Max.
And that website is adobe.com/video, and Bill Roberts is the Senior Director of Product Management for audio and video products for Adobe Systems. And Bill, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, Larry. Thank you.
I've been thinking. I love trade shows. I always have. Yes, they're big and noisy and exhausting, but they are the closest thing to the toy stores I remember as a kid. They are a place of wonder. They are filled with new products, new ideas, and old friends. As many shows as I visit, I never get tired of the thrill I get when I stand outside the entrance wondering what new goodies I may find inside. Earlier today, I was talking with a reporter doing a story about the digital production buzz. As she and I talked, I described how the buzz balances between covering new technology and discussing techniques to improve how we tell stories with pictures. Our goal here at The Buzz is to help you learn something new each week that can help you in your career. Whether this is listening to a producer talk about a recent project, a technologist showcase a new camera, or learn about a new software tool, The Buzz is focused on enabling you and your business. Still, I confess, every so often, it is fun to indulge in learning about new toys, which is why I so enjoyed hearing about new products from three of the leaders in our industry. Because there's nothing wrong with visiting a toy store, even as an adult. Just something I'm thinking about. I want to thank our guests this week, Dan May with Blackmagic Design, Ray Thompson with Avid, Bill Roberts with Adobe, and James DeRuvo with doddleNEWS.com. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find thousands of interviews, all online and all available to you today. And remember to sign up for our free weekly show newsletter that comes out every Saturday. Talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner with additional music provided by smartsound.com. Our producer is Debbie Price. My name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for listening to the Digital Production Buzz. The Digital Production Buzz is copyright 2018 by Thalo LLC.